Hello, welcome to today's immigration tidbit. Okay, so you're asking about a crime that someone committed that most likely makes them an aggravated felon under immigration law. If it didn't make them an aggravated felon, you would see if there are waivers available and then do the waivers because the waivers, while certainly not easy, are easier to get approved than getting something vacated. It is not easy to get something vacated. And it has to be vacated on the merits, not vacated for immigration purposes. Although we all know the reason you're getting it vacated or want to get it vacated is exactly for immigration purposes. But the law says that the reason for the vacation is not because specifically of immigration relief. Okay, so the way it depends where you are. You know, different states have different procedures, but basically, when someone pleads guilty or nolo contendere to a particular crime, and they are not given all of the rights, then it could certainly be argued that their plea was not knowing and voluntary. That is the basis for getting something vacated, and that they weren't properly advised and the plea was not knowing and voluntary. So let's say, for example, that someone has a theft crime and they decide to sign, the guilty plea, theft of 1 year. Okay, and they get 1 year sentence. Let's even say it's suspended. Okay. Um, Later to find out that they are deported and ordered deported for the rest of their lives because they pled to the wrong thing and they pled to something that made them an aggravated felon. Now, the way it realistically went down is some lawyer, the prosecutor or the criminal attorney, whichever, went to them before the plea, and probably their public defender said, "Look, just plead to a year of this. It will get the sentence suspended. You won't have to spend any time in jail. And before you know it, you'll be out. If you don't do this, it's going to go to trial. You're going to get a very harsh sentence. And you're probably going to spend years in jail." So, given that, if somebody says that, you're thinking, well, even if you didn't do it, you're just going to sign because, the deck of cards is against you. And that's all she wrote. So you sign the plea. Now, let's say that they told you the truth and you had an immigration attorney explain to you what exactly you're pleading to. Let's say that same scenario, but the immigration attorney says, "Look, if you plead guilty to this with a theft crime of over a year sentence, regardless of whether or not you get uh, whether or not you get it suspended, and regardless of whether or not you spend a day in jail, you will be considered an aggravated felon under immigration law. And if that's the case and you're deported, you will be deported the rest of your life. You will not be able to come back, and so forth." Now, if someone said that to you versus what I told you they said the first time, you probably would think twice about just saying, "Sure, let me plead to that." You would probably say something to the effect, "Oh, I didn't know I would be deported for life," or maybe I should consult an immigration attorney in more detail to see what can be done. Because in this case I'm giving you, if the sentence were 364 days suspended, not 365 days suspended, you wouldn't be considered an aggravated felon and you'd most likely be eligible for a waiver, and your life would be a whole lot better because you would have one single day off of that particular sentence. So that's how the law works. There's sometimes a very fine line between what makes you an aggravated felon and what doesn't make you an aggravated felon, allowing you to apply for waivers. So, given that, you of course need to hire an attorney, which will go back to criminal court and will essentially show that the plea was not voluntary and knowing. And from there, if it's granted and if the proper order is given, it could be vacated, and then there's other things you have to worry about after that, but at least that is a fantastic first step to try to get the person whom you love back in the country or able to again get back into court to get status. Okay.